Right, so ready for this. We're going deep, deep into Adam Grant's give and take. See how, like, your whole approach to giving and taking can really shape things, you know?
Right.
Your whole trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild how these styles, giving, taking, matching, they impact, well, not just work stuff, but like your personal well-being too, you know?
For sure. There are, like, hidden advantages to being a giver, but also some real pitfalls, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so first, like, what even are these three reciprocity styles? Grant calls them givers, takers, and matchers.
Right.
And you can probably, like, guess what they mean, but
Uh,
there are some nuances here.
oh, yeah, totally. So givers, they prioritize others, right? Put
Mhm.
those needs ahead of their own. Takers are all about like maximizing their own gain, even if it means, well, stepping on others. And matchers, they're all about that equal exchange.
Tit for tat.
Exactly.
So it's like how much you prioritize yourself versus the needs of others. And here's the thing. Grant found that givers, they're both the top and the bottom of the success ladder.
Yeah. That's the big question, isn't it?
Why is that?
Well, it comes down to approach, like just being generous. It's not enough.
Really?
You got to be strategic too. Like think about David Hornick, this venture capitalist, total giver. But he lost a deal because of it.
Wait, seriously? How could being generous hurt you?
Well, it's interesting. This entrepreneur, the one Hornick wanted to fund, he got kind of spooked by all that generosity.
Spooked?
Yeah, like he felt he needed a VC who'd, challenge him, push him out of his comfort zone, not just like give him everything.
So even in business,
Right.
where like relationships are everything,
Right.
there's a limit to how much generosity is a good thing.
Totally. You got to have that push.
Makes sense.
Now, compare that to another giver, a historical figure, actually, known for both generosity and success, Abraham Lincoln.
Honest babe. A giver.
Yep.
Huh. Never thought of it like that. But he's always shown as like strong,
Oh, he was, definitely. But that strength came from, well, empathy, a willingness to help, even those who opposed him.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Think about it. He put his rivals in his cabinet.
Wow. That's some next level generosity.
Right.
I mean, could you even imagine that today?
I know, right?
But wouldn't that like cause problems having your rivals right there with you?
Well, it could, for sure, but
Oh.
Lincoln, he knew. To get the best for the nation, you need different viewpoints.
So he saw the value in that.
Yeah, harnessing their talent, their experience, even if it meant, risking some setbacks.
He put the nation first.
Exactly.
So he was a giver. But he was also strategic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He knew when to like stand firm, when to compromise, when to use his generosity, for the greater good.
Totally. That's the key, right? It's not about being a pushover or saying yes to every single request.
Right. Yeah.
Effective giving is all about understanding the context, your goals, and the needs of those you're trying to help.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
But how does this all play out in networking? Because like that seems like a place where takers could really take advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do givers navigate that?
Well, look at Adam Rifkin. Grant calls him a super connector. This guy's built relationships with, like, the biggest names in Silicon Valley.
Okay, but Silicon Valley, that's like cutthroat, right?
Yeah, totally.
So how does a giver thrive there?
Rifkin's approach is all about consistency and real connection.
So like not just going to those networking events.
Nope. It's the small things, offering help, advice, introductions, even to people who might not seem, important.
So not about climbing that social ladder.
Nah, it's about genuine relationships, offering help, not expecting anything back.
Huh. But does that actually like lead to anything in the long run? I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Rifkin, he uses something called dormant ties.
dormant ties.
Yeah, like relationships that have faded, but you can like reawaken them.
Oh.
You might not talk all the time, but those past interactions, the goodwill, it can come back in surprising ways.
Like reconnecting with someone from like
Yeah.
college or an old job.
Exactly. And givers, they're really good at this because people remember, who helped them.
Even if it's been years.
Yeah, totally. That history of helpfulness makes reconnecting easier.
So it's like planting seeds. That might sprout later.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. But let's talk about collaborating. How do givers do in teams?
Okay, great question. So think about George Meyer, writer for The Simpsons. Total collaborative giver.
The Simpsons. Wow, that's a lot of writers.
I know, right?
So how do you stand out as a giver there?
Meyer, he's the unsung hero. He takes on those less glamorous tasks,
Nah.
rewriting, polishing, making sure the final product is like top notch.
That's awesome.
He even like came up with Got Milk.
No way.
Yeah, but he was so humble about it. Most people forgot it was even his idea.
That's wild. So how do givers make sure their work is valued if they're always putting others first?
It's all about trust and respect. By constantly focusing on the group, givers like Meyer, they earn admiration, loyalty.
They become the ones you can always count on.
Exactly. It's not about bragging. It's about being the one who lifts everyone up.
Actions speak louder than words.
Totally. And that brings us to another big part of effective giving, perspective taking.
Perspective taking.
Yep. It's not just about giving. It's about giving in a way that actually helps, that meets the other person's needs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
But how does that work in practice?
So there's this fascinating study with toddlers.
Toddlers?
Yeah, it's all about food preferences. They gave these toddlers goldfish crackers, which they loved, and broccoli, which...
Well, not so much.
Right. Then an adult comes in, pretends to love the broccoli, and hate the crackers.
Okay, so what happens?
When asked to share. These toddlers, even the little ones, like 18 months old, they offered the broccoli to the adult.
Wow, seriously.
Yep, they understood that's what the adult liked, even though it wasn't their own preference.
So they weren't just being selfish.
Yeah.
They could actually see things from someone else's point of view.
Exactly. Now, contrast that with Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect. Brilliant, but not exactly known for being easy to work with.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So he had this fellowship
Mm-hmm.
to train new architects. But he often, he put himself first.
Even ahead of their development.
Yeah. Treated them more like servants, almost. Gave them menial tasks, took credit for their ideas.
Wow, that's not great.
Nope. And as a result, very few of his apprentices really made it big on their own.
So even in a field like architecture, where mentorship is so important,
Right.
a taker mentality can actually hold everyone back.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful example of how, like, even if you're giving, if you're not considering the other person's perspective,
Right.
it can actually do more harm than good.
Exactly. Effective giving means understanding, aligning your actions with their needs, their aspirations.
It's the thought behind it that matters. Okay, so we talked about giving in general, but what about recognizing and cultivating talent? How are givers at that?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Because you can see how, like,
Yeah.
they might miss potential in those who are less obviously gifted,
Right.
or who need a little more encouragement.
Yeah. So let's look at C.J. Skender, accounting professor, known for his ability to spot and nurture talent.
Accounting, huh? Not exactly known for, like, fireworks and explosions of talent.
Maybe not.
But Skender, he has this unique approach. He focuses on building genuine interest in his students.
So it's not just about the numbers.
No, it's about making it relevant, engaging.
Fun.
Exactly. Uses humor, stories, even pop culture.
So the students are actually, like, into it.
Yeah, and when they're interested, their potential, it just, like, blossoms.
Is there, like, proof that works?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There's this study with military trainees. They randomly labeled some as high potential.
Okay.
And guess what?
What?
Those labeled as high potential actually performed better.
Even though it was random. Yep, totally random.
So just being told you have potential can actually make you better.
It's called the Pygmalion effect. When we believe in someone, we act in ways that support them, give them more guidance, encouragement, opportunities.
We create that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
So our actions, our beliefs, they can really shape those around us.
For sure.
Okay, this is all great. But with all this giving, doesn't it lead to burnout?
That's where we got to differentiate. Selfless giving versus other-ish giving.
Okay, so selfless giving is the one that brings you out.
Yeah, you're constantly giving, but not taking care of yourself.
Right.
Other-ish giving is more sustainable.
So what is that exactly?
It's about caring for others, but also understanding the importance of self-care.
So you can keep giving.
Exactly.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Okay, I get it. But I'm still worried about burnout.
Well, that's where strategy comes in. Remember Conry Callahan, the teacher we talked about?
Yeah, the one who got burned out.
Right. But then she restructured her volunteering and got her energy back.
How'd she do that?
Chunking. Instead of giving all the time, she focused her efforts into specific blocks.
Oh, interesting.
It gave her more control, and she could really see the impact.
Makes sense.
Another thing, Build a strong support network.
But wait, isn't that, like, the opposite of giving?
Not really. When you show up for others, they're more likely to show up for you.
So it's a two-way street.
Exactly. A cycle of giving and receiving.
It takes a village.
For sure.
Okay, but what about those takers? How do I avoid them?
That's where sincerity screening comes in.
Sincerity screening.
Yeah, basically. You got to evaluate people's motives.
To make sure they're not just using you.
Exactly. You got to be discerning. Learn to spot the difference between genuine requests and, well, those who are just trying to exploit you.
So like a sixth sense for takers.
Kinda. Grant talks about Peter Audit, financial advisor. Early in his career, he got taken advantage of a lot. Yeah, his boss took credit for his work, stole gifts meant for him. It was rough.
That's awful.
It is. But Audit, he learned from it. He realized takers often use charm, flattery, to manipulate givers.
So you got to look past that.
Yep. Look for patterns. Have
Yeah.
they helped others in the past? Do their actions match their words?
See as you proof.
Exactly. Be wary of those who are always focused on themselves. Always taking, never giving.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the ones who are good at hiding it?
Well, Grant says one of the most deceptive traits is agreeableness.
Really?
Yeah, takers can be super charming, polite, seeming helpful, but really they're just manipulating things.
So being nice isn't enough?
Nope. You got to look deeper, see how they treat others, especially those with less power.
So it's about being observant.
Exactly. Sincerity screening is key. Protects you from exploitation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's about being strategic with your giving, but also, like, who you trust.
For sure. Now let's shift gears a bit. How do givers influence others?
Oh, that's interesting. You'd think, like, to be persuasive, you'd have to be assertive, put yourself first.
You'd think so. But Grant talks about powerless communication.
Powerless communication doesn't sound very effective.
Well, think about it. That traditional, powerful communication, all assertive and confident, it can backfire, make you seem arrogant or fake.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. And givers, they're often naturally good at powerless communication. They ask questions, express doubts, seek advice.
Which makes them more approachable.
Totally. Makes them seem more trustworthy.
Like admitting your weaknesses is a strength.
Kinda. Grant tells this story about Dave Walton, a lawyer, very successful, but he stutters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he thought it'd be a huge problem in court, but it actually helped him. Really? Yep. Made him seem more authentic, relatable. Juries saw his vulnerability, and they admired him for it.
For overcoming that challenge.
Exactly.
So it's not about hiding your flaws.
Nope. Embrace them.
Show your true self.
Exactly. Powerless communication. With the hesitations, the questions, it shows sincerity, builds trust.
And that's what givers are all about.
For sure.
This is really making me rethink things.
It's not about being the loudest or always having the answers. It's about being genuine, empathetic, showing up for others,
Right.
and realizing that giving, when done strategically, it can be incredibly powerful.
For you and for everyone around you,
Absolutely.
this has been awesome.
It has.
I'm already seeing things differently.
That's great to hear. Now, for the last part of our deep dive, let's talk about creating a culture of giving.
That sounds ambitious.
It is. But Grant believes it's possible, and he points to some initiatives that have actually done it.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, first, there's FreeCycle, this online platform. Give away stuff you don't want anymore to people in your community.
Like a free garage sale.
Exactly. And what's amazing is it attracts all kinds of people, even those who aren't, naturally givers.
Really? Why is that?
Because FreeCycle makes giving public.
Ah, so it plays on that, like social pressure,
Totally. We want to look good, be seen as generous.
especially in our community.
Right. And when you see others giving, you're more likely to give too.
So generosity can be contagious.
It can.
That's cool.
Now, for those who are a little more resistant, Grant talks about the reciprocity ring.
The what?
The reciprocity ring, he actually developed it himself.
Wow, seriously?
Right.
So what is it?
It's like a structured exercise.
Yeah.
People make requests for help and offer help to others in the group.
So giving and receiving are, like, linked.
Exactly.
You can't just take.
You got to give back.
Right. And it's been shown to increase giving, even among those who are more inclined to take.
I don't know. That sounds tough.
It is.
Yeah.
But it works. Part of it is obligation. to get help, you got to give help.
Like a social contract.
Yep. But there's also reputation. It's all public, so people want to look good.
They don't want to be the stingy ones.
Exactly.
We're social creatures.
We are. And giving is a way to show our value.
So even takers start to see the benefits. They do. They get that feeling of, joy, satisfaction. That comes from giving.
And it changes them.
It can.
That's amazing.
It shows how powerful the environment can be.
Yeah, if giving is the norm, you're more likely to give yourself.
Exactly. And that's what we want to create.
A culture of giving.
A world where generosity flourishes and everyone benefits.
I'm in. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we're exploring Adam Grant's give and take. So we've seen how givers can trip up sometimes.
Even with the best intentions.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about, more than just being generous. Got to be strategic, got to be smart about it.
Right.
Recognize those different styles, find a way that works for you.
Sustainable giving.
That's it.
That's what we were talking about, right? Otherish giving.
Yeah, that sweet spot,
Okay, so how do we actually do that? Give our all, but also, protect ourselves.
It's a balance, for sure. Starts with understanding your why. Grant, he looked at these highly successful givers, winners of the Caring Canadian Award.
Wow, so these are people who've dedicated, their lives to helping others.
Exactly.
What do you find?
Well, these givers, they weren't just, more other-oriented. They were also more self-interested.
Wait, hold on. The best givers are also looking out for themselves.
It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. To give for the long haul, it's gotta be rewarding.
So it's not about, being a saint.
Nope.
It's about finding that overlap.
Between your giving and your own goals.
Aligning your passions with your actions.
Exactly. It doesn't make the giving less meaningful. Often it makes it even more powerful.
Because you're energized by it.
Right.
You find purpose in it.
That's otherish giving in a nutshell.
Taking care of yourself so you can take care of others.
Precisely.
Okay, but burnout is still a real thing, right?
It is. That's why strategy is so important. Remember Conry Callahan?
The teacher?
Yeah.
She got burned out, but then
Found a way back.
by restructuring her volunteering.
Exactly.
How'd she do that?
She used this technique called chunking.
Chunking.
Instead of, spreading her efforts out, she consolidated them into specific blocks of time.
Oh, interesting.
Gave her more control, less overwhelm, and she could see the impact more clearly.
Okay, so it's about being intentional.
Yep. Setting boundaries, avoiding that constant sense of obligation.
Which is what leads to burnout.
Exactly. Another key thing, build a strong support network.
Wait, isn't that the opposite of giving?
Not really. Think about it. When you show up for others, they're more likely to show up for you.
Ah, so it creates this reciprocal relationship.
Exactly. A virtuous cycle.
That's like that saying, it takes a village.
It does. We all need help sometimes.
And givers, they're better positioned to get that help.
Because they've built those strong relationships.
Okay, I'm starting to see it, but I'm still worried about those takers out there.
Yeah, I hear you.
How do you avoid getting taken advantage of?
That's where sincerity screening comes in.
Sincerity is great.
All about evaluating motives.
So you don't get fooled.
Exactly. Got to learn to tell the difference between those who genuinely need help and those who are, just looking to exploit you.
So it's developing a radar for takers.
Kinda. Grant talks about this guy, Peter Audit, financial advisor. Early on, he got taken advantage of a lot.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, his boss was a total taker.
What happened?
Stole his credit, his gifts, everything.
That's terrible.
It is. But Audit, he learned a valuable lesson. Takers often use charm, flattery, to get what they want.
So don't be blinded by charm.
Right. Look for patterns. Do they have a history of helping others? Do their actions match their words?
So it's not enough to just take their word for it.
Nope. You got to see the receipts.
Show me the receipts.
Exactly. Be wary of those who are always focused on themselves.
The ones who are always taking, never giving.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the ones who are really good at hiding it? Like the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Well, Grant says one of the most deceptive traits is agreeableness. Yeah, takers can be super charming, polite, make it seem like they're on your side, but really, they're just playing the game.
So nice doesn't always mean giver.
Nope. You got to look beyond the surface, see how they treat others, especially those who are, less powerful.
So it's about paying attention.
Exactly. Sincerity screening is a crucial skill. Helps you protect yourself.
And make sure your generosity goes to the right people.
Precisely.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense. It's about being smart, being careful.
It is.
So we've talked about avoiding takers. But let's flip it. how do givers get people on board with their ideas? Be influential.
Oh, interesting question.
Because you'd think to be persuasive, you got to be like assertive, put yourself first.
You'd think so. But Grant, he talks about this counterintuitive approach, powerless communication.
Powerless communication. That doesn't sound very powerful.
Yeah, right? But think about it. That traditional powerful style, all confidence and assertiveness, it can be off-putting, make you seem arrogant or insincere.
Yeah, I can see that. So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. And givers. They're often naturally good at powerless communication. They ask questions, express doubts, seek advice.
Which makes them seem more...
Human,
Yeah.
more relatable, more trustworthy.
So, like, admitting your weaknesses can actually be a strength.
In a way, yeah. Grant tells us a great story about Dave Walton, this lawyer, super successful, but he stutters.
Wow. In court.
Yeah, he thought it'd be a huge problem, but it actually helped him connect with juries.
Really?
They saw his vulnerability, his humanity, and they admired him for it.
For overcoming that challenge.
Exactly.
So it's not about hiding your imperfections?
Nope. It's about embracing them, letting people see the real you.
Authenticity.
That's it. Powerless communication with the hesitations, the questions. It shows sincerity, builds trust.
And that's what makes givers so effective.
Absolutely.
This is blowing my mind.
Which challenges the traditional ideas of success, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not about being the loudest or always having all the answers. It's about being genuine, empathetic, showing up for others.
That's powerful.
And realizing that giving, when done strategically, it can create real change.
In our own lives and the lives of others.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It had.
I'm already seeing the world differently.
That's fantastic. Now, for the final part of our deep dive, let's talk about taking this to the next level. Creating a culture of giving.
Wow, that sounds ambitious.
It is. But Grant, he believes it's possible. And he shows us how it's been done.
Okay, I'm ready.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so we've talked about those different styles,
Yeah.
right? And how to be a giver, but like strategically.
Right. Not just, throwing yourself at every problem.
Exactly. But now I'm thinking, how do we make this bigger? Like a whole culture of giving.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Can we actually shift things from like rewarding taking to actually valuing giving?
Grant thinks we can. He's got some cool examples.
Okay, lay them on me.
So there's this thing called Free Cycle. It's online. You basically give away stuff you don't want.
Like a free garage sale.
Yeah, but online.
Really?
And the thing is, it's not just like hardcore givers using it.
Real.
You get all sorts of people.
Even takers.
Yeah, and I think it's because Free Cycle makes it public.
So it's like you want to look good.
Totally. No one wants to be seen as the stingy one.
Makes sense.
And there's research showing that takers who use Free Cycle, they actually start to become more generous in other areas of their lives, too.
Wow. So it's like the environment really matters.
It does.
If giving is the norm, you're more likely to give too.
Exactly.
It's pretty powerful.
Now, for those who are a bit more resistant to giving, there's this thing called the reciprocity ring.
The what now?
The reciprocity ring, it's something Grant developed himself.
Oh, wow. So this is like tried and tested.
Yep.
So how's it work?
It's basically this structured exercise. You make requests for help and offer help to others in the group.
So you're kind of forced to give.
In a way, yeah. To get help, you got to give help.
It makes sense. But what about those who just want to take?
Well, it's interesting. Even they start giving more in the reciprocity ring.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you get them to do that?
Well, part of it is obligation, right?
Like, you have to contribute to get something back.
Exactly. But there's also reputation. It's all public, so people want to look good.
They don't want to be the freeloader.
Right. And then as they start giving, they experience those rewards.
That feeling of helping someone out.
Exactly.
It changes them.
They can.
That's amazing. It's like proof that we can actually create a more giving world.
It is. By changing the environment, changing the norms.
So it's not just about individual actions?
Nope. It's about creating systems that support giving.
Okay, this is all inspiring and stuff. But I got to ask, what about burnout? Like if we're all supposed to be giving all the time?
That's a great point. And Grant, he talks about this a lot. Even in a culture of giving, boundaries and self-care are crucial.
So you don't have to be a martyr.
Exactly.
You can say no.
You can prioritize your own well-being.
That's good to hear. Because I was worried, like, what I have to give till I drop?
No, not at all. It's about balance, a sustainable system where everyone benefits.
That makes sense. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
It really makes you think, right?
It says,
About how we interact with each other, how we can create a better world.
yeah, I'm definitely going to be thinking about this a lot
Mm,
and trying to put these ideas into practice.
that's great to hear.
It's like a whole new way of looking at things.
It is.
So, on that note,
Hmm.
I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep giving it.